Hey guys, Conda here. So today I wanted to make a video. It is Sunday night and I felt it in my spirit to talk to you about this, is that you need to give yourself more credit than what you're telling yourself right now, at the same time filling the void that has always been there, and you know what I'm talking about. So don't act like you don't, okay? So Jim Carrey once said that, oh, I pray everybody gets everything they could ever want and realize how meaningless it is. And coming from a place of poverty, I was like, what are you talking about? You know, money does make you happy. Money can give me happiness. So God gave me a taste of money and I still was unhappy. I kept buying things, still unhappy. Hopped into relationships, still unhappy. Bought things, you know the deal. Ate food, still unhappy. And so I entered this world of consumerism, as we all do, as most Americans have done. So pulling yourself out of this matrix of consumerism and almost like like a high dopamine consumerism environment, it's tough. Pulling yourself out of pornography and addictions, it's tough. Alcohol, right? It's tough. But you have to give yourself credit, because yeah, you entered this world, this matrix. So what's next? Pulling yourself out. You're going to go through a withdrawal. And if I'm going to suffer, I'm going to make it all worth it. So choose your battle. What are you going to suffer for? What's worth it? And for me, that is family, marriage, my purpose, my this divine gift, and sharing it with the world, serving humanity, right? The best that I can. Now, sometimes people will not understand you, but that is just a challenge, so that way you can understand yourself. And I also learned that when you are nicer and kinder to yourself and you give yourself credit, you will not take responsibility for the actions of other people, even if they've manipulated you to do the same, and you forgive them, for they not know what they do, right? They don't know what they're doing. And I was in that boat where I desperately wanted someone to save me. I desperately wanted to be admired, to be adored, for someone to choose me, you know, trauma, yeah, all that good stuff. And I had to give myself the credit for pulling myself out of that matrix. And I would go on social media and I'd see all these girls with their friends and relationships and dating and family. And I'm sitting over here on the floor and I'm like, man, I don't got that. And so it's easy to spiral and tell yourself a lie that you don't deserve it. But I realized, if I'm going to suffer, I'm going to suffer for something that it was worth it. Like how Jesus died for humanity. He suffered literally, physically, mentally, spiritually. And it was worth it, because Jesus really liberated me. So I had to give myself the credit that, hey, this was wrong. Take ownership, responsibility for your end. And please do not blame yourself for somebody else, okay? Now, I also had to tell myself that what I want is possible. What I want is, it's valuable. I don't care about social media. It's literally a condensation of thoughts, programs, beliefs, and actions that don't serve. And it's fake, because the moment somebody posts, that reality isn't even real anymore. It's just on a cloud, literally thin air. And so even if you think that an object, a relationship, somebody will make you happy, there's a deeper, bigger void that you're avoiding. And it's scary to purge out those unconscious programs, thoughts, beliefs, and you're going to cry a lot. So give yourself credit for even going into that battlefield and the world of the shadow, really alone, but never alone, because you always have the guidance with you. And that's what they don't talk about in the feminine world. That's what they don't talk about in reality is, the car looks nice, the relationship looks nice, and then like you hop onto the next thing, but people don't sit and question, like, why did that not work out? But they just see the external physical materials. And so I understand what Jim Carrey was talking about, is like praying that everybody gets everything externally and realizes, like, you're still going to consume, you're still depressed, you're still sad, and that it actually takes more bravery and courage to literally look at yourself in the mirror and be like, you're the problem. So let's find a solution. But saying it and embodying it in a way where it's graceful, it's compassionate. And especially when you have to go back to your parents' house, have to start over, maybe work a 9-to-5 job, whatever it looks like, it's like, so what? This doesn't define my worth. If I believe in myself, then God will fulfill. And he just asks that I trust him, and I do. And so it can be very daunting to wake up to a reality where things are split and you don't know what you're doing. You're on social media, you see all these things. Like, how can you be compassionate and nicer to yourself and kinder to yourself, and tell yourself that you are worth everything? And I think about Jesus too. It's like, you're going to have to go through the silent years alone, because from age 12 to age 30, those 18 years, you can search it up, is the silent years of Jesus. Where was he at? What did he learn? What did he experience? Where did he go? And that's what your life partly is going to be about, is if you're really serious about evolution, like 18 years. What are you going to learn? What are you going to give? What are you going to do? And I know I'm 23, but it almost feels like there's no such thing as time. And when you've been exposed to the future, because I've already seen it, it's almost like you think about how you're going to die. You think about the family that you're going to have, the deeper, soulful, meaningful picture. And God gave me that vision at a very young age, which was why I was always in like a hustle, survival mentality, and why I couldn't give myself much grace, because, okay, God revealed to me like this is what's going to happen. This is the reality. This is the suffering. This is the torment. And so that was always in the back of my mind. So I actually went from a very deep survival state. And so I'm learning how to thrive and love myself and tell myself wonderful things. But being exposed to that darkness at such a young age makes your heart and your soul wiser. That doesn't mean you don't make mistakes and you don't repeat cycles, because you do. But it just means you operate in a different dimension, because you've already seen the worst of what you've experienced. And pain doesn't discriminate. So it's like, what do you mean, be proud of myself? Especially when you've experienced so much trauma, it's almost like you're constantly comparing, you're constantly working against yourself, you're constantly competing. It's so draining. At some point, your body's gonna give in, and you're gonna have to ask your soul, like, is this actually making me fulfilled? And for the longest time, I wasn't living from a place of soul fulfillment. I was living from a place of lack, and I attracted that. And now having to let go of that mentality and tell myself that I'm worth it, tell myself that I'm beautiful, and not tell myself that I'm going insane or losing my mind, is freaking hard, because people like to stay in their perfect little bubble, in their perfect little family, the perfect little community, but everyone is afraid of evolving. Everyone afraid of questioning, asking for the truth. And I'm here to tell you, ask for the truth from God, and God will show you, and it's gonna break everything you thought you could know. But that's why they killed Jesus. That's why they killed Jesus, because he lived the truth. And at that time, people wanted him killed because they just were not on that same consciousness level. And a lot of people hide behind their businesses, they hide behind their relationships, their marriage, their children, their community. And so when you expose yourself to the truth, and then you tell yourself wonderful things, and you're working on yourself, a part of leveling up is allowing yourself to be okay with being misunderstood, that you'll find your soul tribe, and that if you really do want to grow and to embody truth, it's like, well, you're gonna walk most of your life alone. Your family's gonna be gone one day. Your spouse might be gone one day. Your children are gonna be off, in their own little families. So why not build a great relationship and why not fill the void now? And it sounds like a depressing topic, but it's actually a very liberating topic, because the moment I realized I'm okay with being single, if this is what God has for me, I'm okay with not having kids, I'm okay with not being successful, meaning like in the eyes of other people. in the eyes of other people. If I'm content with who I am, what I've done, that's enough for me. If I did okay and nobody saw anything, that's enough for me. And so I wanted to bring you this topic of filling the void in your heart and stop chasing external things and really get into the root and allow the truth to really purge out the lies. That's what you should be proud of. I don't care if there's no money attached to it, because how I feel, who I am, what I know about myself, it's just truth. No one can come up and say, are you sure? No, I am sure, because I know myself. And when you know yourself, the world bows down at your feet. The voids have been healed. You live in your truth. You're authentic. You're transparent. You're abundant, because you're rich in your soul. You're rich in your spirit. I could care less if I'm not the famous Instagram model, or I don't got the car or the money. I'm content with who I am at the end of the day. I know who I am. I've made a difference. I have great intentions. And even if it's not as like millions of people, I've impacted people in my life, whether negative or good, and I'm fine with that. I'm at peace with that. I could give less of an F if someone doesn't see it that way, because they're just projecting their traumas onto me. And so once I learned to fill the void and be proud of myself, because being an adult is fucking hard. Like, it's like you're talking to people, but you're kind of alone. And really just being fucking okay with that shit. And I have this mentality of like, get over it, which doesn't serve the people around me, just because you have to learn how to communicate and build great relationships and connections. But that part of me is always going to be there. That aggressive, angry part of me is always there. That doesn't mean I act from it, but that's where I came from. And so once I filled that void and realized I don't need to operate from that, and I love myself for who I am, that was enough to get me to where I need to be. And you know, like, even having your own apartment, even having your own car, even paying your own bills, that's enough. Especially when you're trying to do everything, working out, reading, starting your business, doing this, doing that, having a relationship. It's fucking hard, dude. That's why people are so content. But guess what? That's what makes you fucking special, because it's not our abilities that distinguish us. It's our choices and our decisions. It's what we choose to believe about ourselves, the will that we have. So continue to be the best version of yourself. Continue to make great choices. Continue to be wiser. Continue to learn. Continue to evolve. Continue to give, to serve, to love, and to share your gifts with the world. You are where you need to be, nowhere else. That you are a confident, serene, sure, self-sufficient being capable of greatness. And that is the truth. Okay? I love you guys so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.